My name is Sam Jinjovu, and I'm a transman in Zimbabwe, living particularly in Bulawayo. Generally, living as a transman in this country, it's quite a challenge. Day to day, you always worry about when you transact, when you just engage in daily conversation, when you try and interact with society at large. You always have that worry, that question in your mind about how you're perceived, about what people see when they look at you, about how many people actually find your presence as an eyesore. So basically, the experiences that I've had have also fed into this feeling of questioning constantly how society's perception is towards oneself. Also because you never know at times if you're safe or not. So it reminds me of one particular incident where I was in Victoria Falls, just carrying on my business. I was at work, so I was on outreach. And just the fact that my mere presence in that place led a group of people to instigate a beating on me, and only to find out later they were actually in collusion with some enforcement agents who were meant to be protecting me. So that in itself makes you constantly worry as you live your day-to-day life. So I was thoroughly beaten, and there was no justice on the matter, simply because I was told I was trying to act like a man. So the notion of being trans, people do not understand it at all. They have no idea that even that gender identity has got nothing to do with sexual attraction or who I'm attracted to. Simply when they look at me and I speak of my transness, the first thing that comes to people's minds is attraction and intimacy, which are things that have nothing to do with my identity. My identity is basically who I am in relation to my experience of the world. This is who I've naturally been every day as I grow. And just navigating social spaces is such a hard thing. For instance, a bunch of cis friends will invite you for a drink, and you're sitting at that table. Everybody's going to their designated toilet every now and again whenever they feel the need to. But for you, it's generally a nightmare drinking in a public space, because you know, even if you're not passing as male fully, but going into a female bathroom has dire consequences, and you will, in some cases, I've often been called by security at bars where I'm not known and told that I'm going into the wrong toilet. And when you go to the male toilet, there's also risks that are there pertaining to your safety. You could be sexually assaulted. So you never really have a sense of belonging in relation to social spaces. You always have a worry when you transact, whether it's a bank, where you get there. And I remember one incident where the teller actually looked at my documents, did not see the gender marker, but already assumed that I had a feminine name as a young man. And she immediately asked me, like, it must have been hard for you growing up. Weren't you teased about the name that you had? I just told her, it's complicated. I didn't go into explanation. All I said was, it's complicated. So you never really know how to carry yourself. And the thing is, the world could be so simple, because even within the home, I don't think gender distinctions are made at that much of a level, because the gender marker on your document does not matter in the home. They know you, the person. The toilet that you use does not matter in the home. It's for everybody, so you can use it as any person. And that homely spirit could be such a good spirit to carry out to the rest of the world, because that neutrality is what we need to understand that we are all human beings, regardless of the various differences that we have. So, constantly wishing also to have access to gender affirming procedures or medication is one big challenge as well, because in being in a country where even those who are medical experts have no idea what you're talking about when you talk about transitioning, it makes it so much harder to have that access. So it's either people have to opt for self-medication through black market materials, or just live constantly in that state of depression where you are unable to acquire what you want to acquire for you to become who you are. So, yeah, there are many challenges that we face, but one thing I know for sure is that we're here and we exist, and definitely there is a space for us in society. Just if society could open its eyes a bit wider, they would see we're just as human as they are. Another issue is in terms of employment. Being employed, especially when employment really involves a lot to do with your documentation. So even if you may look one way but your documents say something else, that already poses a challenge in terms of you being hired. So it really limits your bracket of where you can work. And also, one other issue in terms of employment, looking at the arts. I was a vibrant artist in my country, but I had to down my tools because I also had to work with my growth as an individual into the identity that I have. So that meant I had to take my journey before I finally decide whether they will accept my art, my music, because it's good, or they will only accept it based on who they perceive me to be. So these are questions that I've constantly had to reflect on. But a time will come when all trans persons will arise and be known, and foster a bit of understanding in that much of the population that is willing to listen and understand, and have every other human being have the dignity that they deserve, and live in harmony in society, knowing that diversity is what makes our society beautiful.